Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Say Yes to Profits podcast. But this segment is about having profit conversations. And you all, I am so excited for my guest today. I met this phenomenal woman. Her energy was so amazing at Fox 5 Portia show. She was doing an entire episode on her life. And so I met her there and I really wanted to chat with her more. She is an international superstar as well as currently the tour manager for Usher. She have worked with some of the biggest names in the industry from Mary J. Blige to Xscape and others, you all. So I'm going to bring her on the stage. Listen, like I said, I am so excited for you to meet my guest today. So let's bring her up to the stage. Hi, Miss Keeyah. How are you?
Hi, Octavia. I am well. How are you?
I am doing well today. I am so grateful that you took the time to meet with me and do this small thing to everything that you've done. I am so grateful to have you here today. How's your day been going so far?
My day is going amazing. I hope yours is as well. And thank you for just seeing me and having me on your platform. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely. So you are doing some amazing things. You have been doing amazing things for years. And so the purpose of ProfitCon is to meet with extraordinary, successful entrepreneurs and just talk about your journey because I really feel like there are things that we go through that we can teach others that maybe would shorten their path to success or just make their path much easier. So I want to deep dive into your entrepreneur journey by first asking you, how did you get started? Well, no. I want to back up. I would like you to first introduce yourself and then we'll go into your entrepreneur journey.
Okay. Well, again, I am Keeyah Johnson. I'm from Elizabeth, New Jersey. I am currently the road manager for Usher for all of his performances from Vegas to Paris to Saudi Arabia to Africa. But it didn't start that way. I was just a little girl in Elizabeth, New Jersey. I went to Morgan State University. I did a ton of internships, 3 unpaid internships. So pretty much I did the work, I perfected my craft, and I worked my way up to where I am today. It wasn't easy. I had a lot of struggles. I had a lot of no's, but I just kept persevering through and striving through to be where I am today. And I just want to really encourage other young women who want to work in male-dominated industries or who want to work in the entertainment industry to know that if I can do it, then you also can as well.
That is really good because a lot of entrepreneurs don't realize on their journey you're gonna receive a lot of no's, but you can't allow them to stop you. You can't allow them to detour you. You just have to keep moving forward. And so I would love to start off again with, how did you get started in the entertainment industry? And then we'll deep dive into some of the things you had to overcome by being in a male dominated industry.
Absolutely. So growing up in Elizabeth, New Jersey, it was only 13 miles from New York City. So as a young girl, I was always on a train going to the city. I just grew up around that entertainment environment and my parents were really, really supportive. So back then, I was only in the 5th grade when I was introduced to the TV show at the time, 106 in Park.
Mhm.
At the time, you had to be 16 to go to that show. Here I am in the 5th grade, found out who the audience coordinators were. And I called up to that show and said, like, please, my parents can bring me to the show. I just want to be in the audience. So I convinced the audience coordinators to let me come to the show. And that was pretty much my first interaction with entertainment. From there, I fell in love with radio. So I started doing the same thing at the radio stations. Got offered an internship, got a scholarship from our local radio station, Kiss FM at the time. So I actually got a scholarship. And then after the scholarship, they invited me back as an intern. So I was pretty much in the communications capital of the world, just working, learning from some, of the greats, from radio personalities that have been on air for 30 years. But just as a young girl, seeing it on TV and knowing that I was 13 miles away from that, I just knew that I had to be a part of entertainment. And as a young girl, I just started going to concerts and TV shows and everything. And so much so that like I would save up my money from birthdays and Christmas. And then when it was time for the BET Awards, my friends and I, we would actually fly to LA and just volunteer. After that, we would then fly to New Orleans for Essence Festival. That's when I first learned about a multi-city flight. I'm like, what? We can fly from one city to the next without having to go home and just showing up and just saying, what can we do to roll up our sleeves and just work? And that's how I got my start. People kept seeing me everywhere like, who is this young girl just asking to work? And then they kept me in mind when future opportunities became available.
Wow, that is amazing. So you basically started by putting yourself out there and making sure you were in the rooms and at the events. And how did you get the feeling that okay, this is something I want to do? I know that you started attending the events and being in the room and at the different places, but what made you feel like I want to be in the entertainment industry working with the entertainers?
I feel like it was a connection. Like by me being in the audience, I knew that that wasn't enough. Like I always wanted more. So I saw how things were being done. I saw, women and men doing it. And I was just like, this would be so cool. I admired the women and men who was doing it for so long, like the radio personalities, how entertaining it was. Then getting to see them interact with like their audience members or their listeners. It was just something about that I loved so much. And I just wanted to take a deeper dive into it. So I feel like as I was seeing it and experiencing it, I just knew like, I knew that this is what I wanted to do. And then I just started pursuing it. But also with the pursuit, I had to like do a lot of research because there's so many different things that could be done. So I've tried TV, I've tried film, I've tried radio, and now I'm finally in a position that I love, which is touring. But I'm so blessed to be able to have been involved in various facets of the industry.
Nice. So tell me, what makes your business different from other businesses out there similar to yours?
I think everything about it is so different just because it's a non-traditional industry. And
Mhm.
the main difference is that I bring so much experience with me from not only my walk of life, but then also from all of these various forms of entertainment. So like I started off, I was an assistant, I was an intern, and now I am this road manager. I can bring with you like all of these different experiences from my days as an intern, my days as an assistant. So I just think that experience level from any and every avenue is what makes me different. My company is all things talent and tour management. So currently I'm booking talent for different conferences and different campaigns and
Mm.
things like that. And then most of my time is spent on the road. So I don't get to work with as many clients as I like, but on various campaigns, I do get the opportunity to like book talent for speaking engagements and different award shows. I just finished an award show campaign with the Image Awards. So I get to
Oh.
mix my passion and my work together. And I think that's just what really makes me different.
So how do you define success? Like, what does that look like to you as you're continuing to grow your business?
So I feel like success is being able to wake up and do whatever you want. So like I can pick and choose the clients that I want to work with. I can pick and choose the tours that I want to go on, but it wasn't always like that. Like in the beginning, I was doing what I needed to do to get to where I am. But now I can pick and choose who I want, what I want, when I want. And I think that's a level of
Yes.
success. Like I don't have to work a 9 to 5. I don't have to clock in and do just like some of the menial tasks anymore. Like, yes, I had to do those things in the past, but I think success is really just, having the desires of your heart, knowing what you want and being able to do that and not letting anybody else identify that path for you. And when you have that, that's when you have true success. And I'm just really grateful for the opportunities that have been brought my way.
Wow. Okay. So I want to shift our conversation a little bit and talk about some of the biggest challenges that you had to overcome to get to the level of success that you're on at this time.
So I know I talked about being told no,
Mhm.
but being told no is not just that. You can be told no in so many different forms. So, for instance, a few years ago, I was an executive assistant, which is like the nucleus of, the brains of an operation in an organization. Like you're the right hand person to the CEO.
Right.
But for me, I'm so creative and I like to do so many different things. So in one of my roles, I was told that I could only be that executive assistant, that I couldn't do other things.
Mhm.
But I was actively doing the other roles and other things, and I was doing it well. And I just think in that role, I just learned that, like, don't let anyone put you in a box, even if they try to,
Mhm.
because that's just not what God created us for. Like, obviously, you can't spread yourself too thin, which that's something that I had to learn, because if it's a cool project, I'm always saying, like, yes, I want to do it. I want to work on it. I want to be a part of it. But just
Mhm.
knowing when to say no, when to say yes. But like, if you believe in yourself and you believe in your heart that this is something that I want to do, it aligns with my goals, it aligns with where, I want to go, then don't let anyone tell you that you can't do that. Because if I would
Exactly.
have been placed in that box and said, no, I'm just going to be an executive assistant, I'm not going to, get out there, put myself out there, do other things, then I may not be where I am today. I had to take that risk. And it
Mhm.
was very challenging. It was very hard because at the time, all I knew was just being this executive assistant while I was doing so much for that one company. There was more for me outside of that company. So, with that being said, I just had to overcome that obstacle and just put myself out there and know that, like, God had so much more for me. And if I hadn't taken that first step, then I definitely wouldn't be where I am today.
Oh, that's good. That's really good. And so I want to deep dive into that a little bit more to really talk about who you had to become in order to say, okay, I'm not just going to be an executive assistant, which is nothing wrong with that for those that are in that role, in that position, but this is not it for me, right? I want to do other things. I'm already doing other things. So who did you have to become? Like, what mindset shifts did you have to make in order to follow your passion and your dream, regardless of what someone else was telling you?
Whew. I feel like that was like one of the biggest battles that I had to actually face in my career,
Mhm.
honestly. And a person that I had to become, I had to believe in myself the way that I believed in those companies, the way that I believed in those other people. I had to know that I had everything within me that I needed. Like, honestly, in that role, when I was transitioning, I had 3 months saved up, and that was it, and I didn't know what was next, but I took that leap of faith. And when I tell you that, like, God just designed the path for me, like within those
Mhm.
3 months, I got calls left and right, like, hey, what are you doing? Would you like to work on this project? Would you
Mhm.
like to do that? But if I did not believe in myself and just take the first step, then I would not be here. So, like, when we talk about mindset, I had to like journal. That's what I do a lot. I had to vision board. I had to see myself in the role that I wanted. I had to dress for the job I wanted. Every time that I showed up as not necessarily this role manager, but just as like this executive or just someone else. I had to foresee myself
Mhm.
in those other roles. And then, 3 months later, God just was able to place the right people to notice me and see me. But yeah, the mindset, I had to shift. I had to see where I wanted to go and not my current circumstance, not my current situation.
This brings to mind, I always talk about be, do, have. And be is being the person that you want to become long before you reach that level, right? So, whatever that level of success, you have to be that person right now. You have to embody that person at this time and operate as that person in order for you to have the things that you want to have. So you have to be that person. You have to do what you think that person would do and show up how you think they would show up and go to the places you think they would go to. Like, you have to become that person, do those things, and then you can have whatever it is on the other side of that you're supposed to have. But I think that takes a level of faith in order for you to start standing up and showing up flat-footed in whoever it is that you want to be, you know?
I love that. Be, do, have. Look, I'm gonna have to borrow that and take that with me. And that just brought to mind too. Like I've been in various positions and various roles where like maybe it was my first time in that role, but I never
Mm,
said no to it. It was just like for me personally, I believe that there's not anything that I can't do, just
yes.
because my faith and my walk with God. Like I know if He bring me to it, He's going to bring me through it. So there was several roles where I did not quite have the experience, but 9 to 5, I was doing a job. But then at 5 o'clock, it wasn't time to go home. From 5 to 9, I would stay in the office, perfect my craft,
Yes.
study the grades, figure it out, and then show up the next day, with all that research that I've done the night before. So it just brought me to remember that my role in LA, I would literally be the first one in the office, the last one out. Like I'm closing down the office. And they're like, girl, what are you doing? You left the office at midnight. Yeah, because I was researching all night before it was time to show up here tomorrow so that I can be my best self and just know what I'm talking about. So I think that is how I was able to be, do, and have the things that I have now.
That's good. You put in the work. You did everything that you were supposed to do
Mhm.
and more. And then look at you now. Like look at where you are and all that you have done. I think a lot of people don't realize the importance of putting in the work and making sure that you're putting yourself out there and you're going the extra mile and you're exceeding expectations. Like at my company, we have core values, and one of the word for our core values is power. And so the E is exceeding expectations, and the R is about resilient learner. So how can you continue to learn? How can you continue to exceed expectations? And then boom, people think it's overnight, but people don't realize all of the things that a person has done throughout the year to now be at this level of success. They don't realize the work that has been put in place behind the scenes for years. And it sounds like that's exactly what you've done throughout all of these years. So I have a
Absolutely.
question.
Okay.
So if you could go back and you could speak to your younger self or the person that you was when you first started, right? What would you tell that person?
To my younger self, I would say that yes, you can do it. I would just be more encouraging and say that yes, you can do it. You don't have to do one thing, because when I was coming up, it was always this thing about, oh, what do you want to do? Do this one thing and focus on that. But I would
Mhm.
say that no, whatever you want to do, whatever your heart's desires, there's a time and place for everything. So you can do this thing for a certain amount of time, then you can move on to something else. So I would just tell my younger self to be bold, be confident, and don't let anyone or anything get in your head. And I will also say, demand respect. And when
Mm.
someone, gets you out of your character or disrespects you, whether that be the way they talk to you or anything like that, just know that everything has a season and know when it's your time to go. And that goodbyes are just stepping stones to get you to your next thing. Like every goodbye isn't bad. So that's what I would say to my younger self, and just to be bold and be confident and to just do everything that you want to do.
That's really good. So I want to ask a question that's a little bit off script, but what did it take? We talked about confidence. We talked about being respectful, as you just mentioned, but what did it take for you to meet with, I guess, some of the superstars, some of the entertainers that you've worked with, and to be able to present yourself in a way that made them say yes to working with you? Like, what did it take for you to show up in that way?
I mean, honestly, I think it does take a lot of confidence and just not fearing anything. Like ever since
Mm.
I was younger, I talked about like working at BET and Essence and all of these events, but my friends will say that I'm just fearless. I will walk up to anyone and introduce myself. And I think that's just like what sets me apart, because they're like, wait, you don't know this person. Like it's this huge superstar. Like I will literally just go up to them and introduce myself. But my it's always what can I do for you? Not, hey, I need a handout or I'm looking to work with you or anything like this. It's like, this is what I do and how can I serve? Because I do believe that we're here to serve. And I think also my energy that I give off is just different and it's pleasant, that I'm just fearless. I'm going up to you. I'm introducing myself. I'm having an elevator pitch together. I'm telling you about my services. And it's just like, And then also the follow-up as well. Like, it's
Mhm.
not always happening in that first interaction, but being fearless and going up to people and meeting so many people, exchanging information, but then following up. I think that has been, something that helped me to work with some of the biggest, entertainers and everything like that, but just being fearless and going up to them, speaking to their assistants and the publicists and the people who are around them and just figuring out, how could we work together?
Nice. So being fearless, not being afraid to introduce yourself to anyone, and then making sure that you follow up. The fortune is in the follow up.
Love
That
that.
is good.
And when
Yes.
you follow up, like they might not have a role available, or they might have something that's not aligned with what you want to do. And that's
Mhm.
happened to me before, like someone giving me an opportunity and say, hey, we're looking for an assistant. But I knew that I was kind of burnt out from being an assistant and I didn't want to do that anymore. So once I got in the room, I heard what they were saying. I knew they were looking for an assistant, but I knew that that's not what I wanted. So I said, give me an opportunity to do something else. And I promise that I won't, disappoint. Again, I
Yeah.
let them know that, I'm willing to do the work. While that may not have been my background, I'm going to learn it and I'm going to do it so well to the best of my ability that you're not
Mhm.
going to know that this is, my first time doing it. So like when you get in the room, be strategic and know, what you want to do and what you want, or else you'll settle. I would have settled for that role as an assistant and I would have been unhappy, but I knew I was ready for something else. So I was just able to just shift that and say, give me an opportunity. And then when preparation meets opportunity, you just have to perform. And that's what I'm doing today.
Yes. Now I'm going to steal that. When preparation meets opportunity, you must perform. Oh, yes. I love it. I love it. I love it. Okay. So, as you know, Keeyah, I'm an accountant. So I always love to ask this question, right? As you've grown your business over the years, how important is it for you as this massively successful entrepreneur to manage your finances?
Oh my goodness. It's so important to manage my own finances, and I'm also managing others. So recently I just started saving. I purchased a home. I'm like building up, my emergency fund. But then also for clients, I'm managing their finances. Like I'm managing per diems on the road. I
Yep.
am doing expenses. Oh my goodness, drowning in expense reports. But it's
Mhm.
so important to be able to treat the clients' funds as if they're your own funds. And the things that I'm learning in my clients' lives and managing their funds, I am then turning around and doing it in my own life. So if you have any tips on managing expenses, please help your girl out.
Listen, I could talk about that all day long, but one thing that I love that you said is you're treating your clients' finances like yours. I tell my team all the time that finances is such a sensitive subject. It's such a sensitive topic for everyone. And so you want to manage someone else's finances like yours or even better than yours, especially when you're their accountant or their tax person, or like you, their role manager. You want to make sure that you're managing everything correctly. So a couple of tips: having that accounting system, right? Because every business should have some type of accounting system in place where they're entering all of their information into the system. Also, being clear on what tax deductions you can take, being clear on how much money is coming in and going out. Oftentimes, I work with a lot of elite entrepreneurs and even some entrepreneurs that are just getting started. What I realize is that oftentimes we don't have a problem earning the money, right? Bringing the money in. That is not the issue. Most times we can go out there and make a couple of thousands, millions. Like, that's not the issue. The problem is keeping the money and using it strategically, and then taking your money and making it work for you by making that money double and triple. That's the problem, right? The solution it's financial management and getting your finances in order and having advice and guidance and someone that is knowledgeable in how to properly manage your money and show you the things that you can do so that not only you earn more money, but you keep more money in your life and in your business. And then investing and saving for retirement. Like, there are so many things someone can do right now, no matter where you are. You can start now and really be successful, wealthy, profitable, and money never, ever, ever be an issue. So that's my
I
spill on
love
that.
that. And thank you so much for sharing that, because in these days we're all focused on like building generational wealth and how can we have the side hustle and the side money coming in. So I think that's so important. And I appreciate you for sharing that as well.
Yes, no problem at all. So, one last question. And I feel like you've answered this several times. But if there was someone watching and they're like, oh my goodness, I love what Keeyah is doing, I would love to do the exact same thing. What advice would you give that new entrepreneur?
Ooh, advice. There's so much. I would first say do your research, because oftentimes I've seen things and I'm like, that's exactly what I want to do. And then I get in a role and I'm like, this is not what it is or what it looks like at all, or it's just
Mhm.
something different. So I would say do your research. And then once you realize what you want to do, find at least 5 people who are doing what you say you want to do, reach out to them, whether it's DM, you know, LinkedIn, email. We have so many forms of communication these days. Don't just DM them and ask them to put you on or things like that, but ask, how can I help you? How can I, book a consultation with them, support them? Ask, can you shadow them? Can you help them at their next event? And then whatever it is that you want to do, just again, go for it. You're not going to know unless you do. So you have to get out there and you have to actually be with what you say you want to do. And then just perfect your craft, like do the research, always be a student of the game, always be learning. And that's just honestly my advice to someone who say they wants to do what I want to do. Just reach out. I'm an open book. I'm always willing to share my experiences to help others along. Mentors are super important and things like that. But just don't always look for someone to give you something. Find out what your strong suits are and then what you can give to them as well.
Yeah, and I love what you said. Be of service. Like, because even when you're being of service to someone, you're serving them, but you're gonna learn along the way, and you never know who you may rub shoulders with just by being there helping someone else. So be of service first, and then gotta make it all come back around to you. That's my belief.
Yeah.
Give and it will be given to you, pressed down, shaken together, and running over, right? So,
Amen.
yes. And then mentorship and coaching, you mentioned that as well. I think that's so, so, so important. I really feel like that will shorten the learning curve and make your success, happen faster and maybe even better because you are investing in someone as a mentor or a coach or someone just helping you. So definitely. And then you know what I would add to, Keeyah? Once you get to that next level of success, reach back and help others when
I
you get
love
there.
that. I love that. That is so important and so amazing. And if I could just add to that too, like every single job and opportunity I've had has come from someone in my network. So me reaching back and them reaching back. So you hit the nail on the head with that one. Reach back to others when you get to where you want to be.
Yes, your network is your net worth, right? Yeah, that's how they go. Okay. So, any final thoughts or comments or anything you would like to add? Also, please let everyone know. I'm going to put your URL up for your website as well. Please let everyone know how they can connect with you further and yeah, anything else you want to add before we end today.
Well, I just want to say thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to be on here with you, like sharing your platform. I think it's so important for women to do so. And again, I am Keeyah Johnson. My website is allthingskeeyah.com and my Instagram is also allthingskeeyah.
Well, Keeyah, I want to thank you so very much for taking the time to do this ProfitCon episode. I am so grateful that I met you. I remember when you walked in and you were talking to the producers, and I was like, "Well, who is that?" So I'm so glad I met you. Your energy is amazing. I wish you nothing but massive success in the future. And again, thank you. I'm gonna give your time back, Keeyah, and thank you everyone who took the time. Yes, thank you too. Thank you everyone who took the time to watch ProfitCon today. As well, we'll be back next Thursday with another phenomenal guest. And until next time, everyone, say yes to profits. Toodles.